Good evening, young scientists. Tonight's story is about a man who looked at the ocean and saw a mystery nobody else could see. His name was Chandrasekhara Venkata Raman, or CV Raman, as everyone called him. The question was, why is the sea blue? Let's begin. The year was 1921. A ship was sailing across the Mediterranean Sea, traveling from England to India. On board was a young Indian scientist named CV Raman. Now he was returning home to Kolkata to set up his own research laboratory, excited, full of ideas, ready to make discoveries. But first, he had to survive 2 weeks on a ship, and something on that ship would change the course of his life. Raman stood on the ship's deck, looking out at the Mediterranean. It stretched endlessly in every direction, deep, brilliant, impossibly blue. Around him, other passengers were enjoying the voyage, chatting, laughing, taking photographs, enjoying the beautiful view. But Raman wasn't enjoying the view. He was staring at it, eyes locked on the water. A simple question was bouncing around his head. He approached the ship's captain and asked, "Excuse me, Captain, why is the sea this particular shade of blue?" Captain was amused. He was used to kids asking him this question. But this gentleman looked intelligent enough. "It reflects the sky, obviously," he said. Raman persevered. "But the sky isn't that blue. Look." Raman gestured at the sky, then at the sea. The sea was deeper, richer, a different kind of blue entirely. Raman vent out his thoughts. If it was simply reflection, the colors would match, but they don't. So why? Captain was not interested and started walking away. "Blue is blue, sir. Enjoy the view." But for the rest of the voyage, 2 full weeks, Raman stood on that deck, staring at the water, taking notes, sketching the color at different times of day: morning blue, afternoon blue, sunset blue, making measurements, recording observations. The other passengers began to notice. Is that man all right? He's been staring at the water for 3 days straight. Should we tell someone? Raman's cabin mate, a friendly businessman, tried to help. "Raman, you've been standing out here every day. You barely eat. You barely sleep. It's just water, my friend." Raman, not looking away from the sea, replied in deep thought, "Yes, and I still don't know why it's blue." His cabin mate asked, "Does it matter?" Raman quietly, intensely replied, "It's the only thing that matters." The ship arrived in Kolkata. Raman went home, set up his laboratory at the Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science. His equipment was simple: prisms to split light, tubes of water, lamps, notebooks, nothing fancy, nothing expensive. Just Raman, his curiosity, and that one burning question. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, months turned into years. Every day, Raman would work in the lab without relenting. He would talk to himself, frustrated. No, something's missing. The light is interacting with the water. But how? Why only blue? What am I not seeing? News of Raman's work spread through the scientific community. Other scientists began to hear about it. It turned out to be a joke among the science community during conferences and meetings. "Have you heard? Raman's still working on the blue water thing." Still? It's been, 5 years? More than 6, nearly 7. The man won't give up his obsession. By 1928, 7 years after that ship voyage, Raman was presenting his early findings at a scientific conference. Raman was presenting, "My research suggests that the blue color of the sea is not simply reflection, but rather an interaction between light and water molecules. Polite applause, polite nods, but afterward, in the corridors, whispers. Scientists would talk to each other. Interesting work, I suppose, but what's the practical application? He's been chasing this for nearly a decade. Blue water. That's it. Bit of a waste of good talent, isn't it? Raman was standing nearby. He heard them. He said nothing. He went back to his lab. Because Raman knew something they didn't. The best discoveries come from questions nobody else thinks to ask. February 28th, 1928. A cold morning in Kolkata. Raman was in his laboratory, running the same experiment he'd run 1,000 times before. But this time, he'd made one small adjustment to his equipment. A new angle, a purer light source, a clearer tube of water. He switched on the lamp, sent a beam of white light through the tube of pure water, and watched. Then he saw it. The light, as it passed through the water, changed. Just slightly, just barely, but it changed. The light was scattering. Raman quietly muttered with relief, There it is. Raman talking louder now, excited. It's scattering. The light is scattering through the molecules. That's why it's blue. He had discovered what would become known as the Raman effect. Now let me explain what Raman discovered, in a way that makes sense. Imagine sunlight hitting the ocean. Most of that light passes straight through the water. But some of the light, not all, just some, bumps into tiny water molecules. When light bumps into these molecules, it scatters, like a ball bouncing off a wall. It bounces in different directions. Different colors of light scatter differently. Red light passes through. Yellow light passes through. Blue light scatters the most. So when you look at the ocean, your eyes are seeing all that scattered blue light bouncing back at you. That's why the ocean looks different shades of blue. Not because it's reflecting the sky, but because the water itself is scattering blue light into your eyes. Raman had solved the mystery, the question that had haunted him for 7 years. Raman's discovery didn't just explain why the sea is blue. Today, doctors use the Raman effect to detect diseases, including cancer, without cutting you open. They shine light into your body, and the way the light scatters tells them if cells are healthy or sick. Astrophysicists use the Raman effect on Mars rovers to study rocks on other planets. The light bouncing off Martian rocks tells scientists what Mars is made of without bringing the rocks back to Earth. The Raman effect is also used in water purification processes and forgery detection, among many other applications. All of these life-saving, planet-exploring, world-changing technologies came from one scientist who couldn't stop asking, why is the sea blue? Year 1930, 2 years after Raman's breakthrough. The announcement came from Stockholm, Sweden. The Nobel Prize in Physics had been awarded to Chandrasekhara Venkata Raman of India for his work on the scattering of light. He was the first Asian to win a Nobel Prize in science. Raman gave his acceptance speech in Stockholm, wearing traditional Indian clothes, standing in front of the world's greatest scientists. I spent 7 years answering one question. Some thought I was wasting my time, but I learned something important. No question is too small if it leads you to the truth. No curiosity is foolish if it expands our understanding of the universe. So here's what CV Raman teaches us. Never stop asking why, because the next great discovery might be hiding in a question everyone thinks is silly. Good night, young scientists.